I want to ask you, though, the circumstances of this election, the reason why there's an election for you to be running in right now. I think I want to clear up a few things on that, because this, of course, had to do with the resignation of Al Franken, Democratic Senator Al Franken. There were 8 women who came forward. They alleged groping. They alleged unwanted advances. They alleged conduct that they thought was far too aggressive. He resigned. There's now a special election. When this was going on, you put a couple of tweets out I want to ask you about. Let me show them on the screen here. One, you said, how much of this was for real, and how much a setup job on trumped-up allegations? You also asked here, find it here, you said Minnesota voters are entitled to investigation before resignation. This was likely a Roger Stone Fox setup job. Do you believe that? Or do you believe Al Franken is guilty of unwanted advances, or do you believe this was a setup job?
I have no idea. And I put a lot of those tweets out when I first heard about it. I continue to wonder why Roger Stone got a heads up on that before the Minnesota voters did. We're entitled to information. We're entitled to an investigation. We're entitled to know what happened. When a senator is elected to a 6-year term, he should be serving the 6 years unless we have an investigation that finds wrongdoing on the part of that senator.
Sure, but with respect,
that's a democracy.
With respect, there are women who've come out and put their names on the record. There's an elected official from New England who said she was on stage in a public setting with Al Franken, and he tried to give her an open-mouth kiss. You say you do not know at all if any of this happened?
I don't know the facts. There's supposed to be an ethics investigation. We should have investigations of such conduct. That type of conduct is unacceptable for a United States senator or anyone else. But we should find out the facts, not just have a resignation. We should find out the facts. And if we'd found out the facts, we might have found out worse facts with respect to Senator Franken. We might have found out a different story. We might have found out why Roger Stone, who's an associate of President Trump and also worked for President Nixon, why he was tweeting about that before anybody else did. We need to know the facts. And that's the problem with the House and the Senate, is they don't investigate things. They don't find out facts. They've been ignoring facts with respect to the Trump administration and everything else.
I guess where I'm struggling here is, again, there are 8 accusations here with respect to Al Franken. And again, some of these are people putting their names on the record. And I think back to that instance down in Alabama with Roy Moore. There wasn't ever an ethics committee investigation of Roy Moore. He never got to the U.S. Senate. But folks had no trouble looking at those accusations on the record and making a judgment. You're looking at 8 accusations.
Absolutely right.
Okay, you're looking at 8 accusations against Al Franken. You're saying you don't know if any of this happened?
I said voters make those decisions. They made the decision in Alabama. The voters made that decision because that's the decision they're entitled to. Once the voters have made a decision and elected someone to the Senate, then there should be an investigation. If there is alleged wrongdoing, there should be an investigation about any senator who's accused of sexual harassment, sexual assault, campaign improprieties, bribery, and the rest of it. We need aggressive investigation of wrongdoing in the House and Senate, and we're not getting that.
But do you believe the women who came forward and made these accusations against Al Franken? Some of them are Democrats.
I don't know the facts here. That's why we were entitled to find that out. But, you know, this election is not about Al Franken.
He left office,
though. We can keep talking about Al Franken, but this is not about him. This is about Donald Trump and his abuse of power. And we need to elect senators and representatives who are going to stand up to him. And if people want to just continue to talk about Al Franken and those allegations, that's what Trump wants to do.
I'm not trying to make this about Al Franken, but we've had a big moment in this country about the issue of sexual assault. It's called the Me Too movement. Women coming forward saying that powerful men in positions of authority, abused that authority, put them in positions, made unwanted advances, did worse things to them, and 8 of them stepped forward about Al Franken. It's the reason there's an election right now. And I'm hearing you say you don't know if any of them were telling the truth.
I said I don't know the facts. I think we should find out the facts, not just when powerful men are accused of sexual harassment and sexual assault, the most famous men, but other men who are running small businesses, who are harassing their employees, who have no recourse. People are being fired. Women are fired when they bring up sexual assault allegations in the workplace. Very little recourse under the law. We need to fix the law so all women feel they can come forward safely and report sexual harassment and sexual assault. It is a serious issue. And rather than focus just on the Al Franken accusations, we ought to focus on the thousands, tens of thousands of women who are subjected to this type of behavior in the workforce, and the law is not adequately dealing with it.
But I guess I'm just curious. What would you, I mean, again, there are women who came out and they put their names on these accusations, and Al Franken left before there was any kind of a Senate Ethics Committee investigation, but it's not enough for you to say, I believe these women?
I am not going to opine on the facts of the Al Franken case. That was the job of the Senate Ethics Committee.
But isn't it your job as a leader to make a judgment when 8 women come forward to say, okay, I believe them?
If I were on the Senate Ethics Committee, it would be my job. That was their job. It's not my job to run around saying who I believe with respect to the accusations made against Al Franken. This election is not about Al Franken. And if you want to turn it into that, or Donald Trump does, that's exactly what the far right wants to do in this country. We need to fix the system. We need investigations of wrongdoing. We need to find out the facts, not just of resignations, not just accusations. We need to find out facts.
So if a woman steps forward with an accusation, or if multiple women step forward with an accusation of sexual misconduct against a United States senator, you're unwilling to say whether you believe it or not unless it goes through the Senate Ethics Committee?
I am willing to say there has to be an immediate investigation by the Senate Ethics Committee, because that type of behavior is unacceptable. And it is not for me to sit here and opine on the truth of what people are saying about a United States senator or what he said in response to that. That is the job of the Senate Ethics Committee. There should have been an investigation. It should have been a prompt investigation. The Americans were entitled to the facts. Minnesota voters were entitled to the facts.
All right, Richard Painter, he's running for the U.S. Senate in Minnesota, we should say. Again, he is challenging Senator Tina Smith, an appointed incumbent. Her statement today, we'll quickly read this to you. Senator Smith is focused on working hard, being a strong advocate for the people of Minnesota. She looks forward to earning and asking Minnesotans for their support. Again, Richard Painter running now against Tina Smith.